by storms yesterday and potentially tornadic storms yesterday as well, Mike. So it is kind of fresh here, but these are spots that have already potentially been hit. And here we go again with yet another round.
Right, and that means more heavy rain as well. Let's go ahead and put the velocities on here, Corey. But rainfall has been in the inches over the last few days, and so there'll also be the potential for some localized flooding, even though the cell won't last that long in any one spot. Let's go ahead and put the velocities back on, Corey, and actually see what those values are. Curious to see what we're getting for values, and your estimation was about right, 65 miles per hour. Again, as Corey was saying, when you're this far from the radar beam, it is elevated some. So this is in the upper levels more than likely, and mid levels. Whether or not it's actually all the way to the ground is a question mark at this point. Heading to Lands End Ranch now. Edgar at 248, Interlaken at 254, and Hollister at 257. Today is President's Day. Most public schools, most schools in general, are not having class in their buildings today, so most schools are closed. So we've got that going for us. But we do have this powerful storm now headed northeast through central and northern portions of Putnam County. And as is always the case at CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News, Jax, during a tornado warning and moving toward a populated area, we will stay on the air until the danger is gone or the warning is no longer in effect. You can see the cell there moving to the northeast, and it's moving quickly.
And just rain. There's no lightning with this right now.
That's a good point. Yeah, we haven't seen any lightning with this cell, even though there is a circulation with it. And in fact, we're not seeing much lightning with any of these storms at the moment. So if you're just joining us, a tornado warning has been issued for central and western and northern portions of Putnam County, the area to the west and to the north of Palatka, for a fast-moving possible tornado headed northeastbound. Now, notice there are a number of other cells that have developed throughout St. Johns County, moving into Putnam County and also to the west of Highway 301. These will move northeastbound very fast as well and produce brief heavy downpours and could suddenly become severe. That's the kind of atmosphere we're dealing with today, and there's a distinct chance we'll have severe weather later this evening as well. This will be round number 1, and then round number 2 will come with a squall line that moves in from the west later this evening. This tornado warning in effect now for central, western, and northern Putnam counties until 3:15 this afternoon. In the metro area, Jacksonville and points north, it is dry right now. The sun is just starting to come out north of Interstate 10. It's been out for a while to the south of Interstate 10, and so the temperatures have been warming dramatically. There's plenty of moisture in the air. It's even a little bit humid. Looks like the sea breeze has even developed already over eastern Duval County. That will help to focus those storms even a little bit more. When the storms encounter a boundary like this, a sea breeze, they can intensify even more. So there is not anything in the metro area or any of Duval County right now, but there will be some storms and some very heavy showers moving northeastbound very quickly within the next hour, if not a little less than that, for southeastern Duval County. And you can see the storms extend all the way down into Marion County here and are moving to the north and to the northeast. Again, it's a tornado warning central and western and northern Putnam County for about another 30 minutes. I suspect it will be discontinued a little earlier than that, but for central, western, and northern Putnam County, the tornado warning is currently in effect. Corey, I'm going to let you go ahead with this. I'm going to knock out a little bit of radio real quick and be right back.
Yeah, Mike, tornado warning. This is for Putnam County at 2:37. So this is a few minutes ago now, about 9 minutes ago. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Orange Springs, 8 miles southwest of Interlaken. So heads up, Interlaken, this storm capable of producing a tornado still headed your way. This is bringing heavy rain with it too. We aren't detecting any lightning with this on First Alert Doppler HD as it is moving through southwestern and western Putnam County. Palatka, you're right up next to the tornado warning if you live on the west side of Palatka by the airport along State Road 100 or State Road 20. Maybe you got an alert on your phone. You're kind of right in the area of the tornado warning. It looks like indications are right now that this storm is going to move to the west and north of you, but potentially impacting areas like yesterday, Bostwick. We had that potentially tornadic storm move directly over Bostwick, forming very near this area where we're seeing these storms develop, and there is more where this is coming from too. Like Mike mentioned, as we go back down into Marion County, and then these isolated showers that are popping up over eastern Palatka, eastern and northeast Putnam County, Federal Point, squeaking over into southern St. Johns County. Again, spots that were impacted by heavy rain, thunderstorms, and even a confirmed tornado yesterday in Bakersville, there west of St. Augustine in relatively rural St. Johns County. But right now, this is today, tornado warning for Putnam County and Interlochen. The time until 3:15 for Putnam County. The storm very near Interlochen right now. I'm going to go back down to street level mapping, show you exactly where it is. You can see the warning box flashing there on the screen. That's just the National Weather Service continuing the tornado warning. So they haven't seen anything that says we need to let this go and get rid of the tornado warning. Same thing here in the First Alert Weather Center. The leading edge of the rain, or the heavy rain, is moving into Interlochen right now. The potentially dangerous part of the storm is this part of the storm on the back end, where you kind of see the curl there. We call that a hook echo, where the wind is actually pulling the rain and the rain particles that you normally see on First Alert Doppler HD, kind of in a curved fashion there. And it's looking a little more ominous just on the radar image here. So I'm going to go back to the wind, and actually got to find it here. There we go. Okay, so the wind still not looking that impressive. We have the wind that's moving toward, which is the green and the blue. This is about 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. Okay, it looks like we kind of just got the update there. Still kind of spread out, Mike. Nothing really tightening up here, but still something Interlochen, folks west of Palatka need to take seriously.
Just got a message, too, from a viewer that's watching us there. Lives only about... it lives the east side of 315, and I'm assuming that's a road and highway, by about 3 to 4 miles, and not far from the elementary school. And they're reporting that they're watching and they haven't seen anything yet. So we'll see if we get updates from that particular viewer. But that's from Karen, so we appreciate it. And if you can keep us updated safely, certainly do so. Here's Interlochen, and as Corey was mentioning, that circulation is going to move just very near, probably passing Kuka Road about now or very soon, and then it'll be along Royal Way. This is a pretty rural area until you get to Interlochen. And then you can see where the streets fill in quite a bit. Melbourne Street will be another area impacted. Remember, during a tornado, you should go to the safest part of the building you are in, which is the lowest part of the building that you are in. Underneath something sturdy, staying away from windows and protecting your head and face.
This is 315 right here, Mike. This is 315.
Okay, so thanks. So our viewer that was emailing says that they live very near highway, about 3 to 4 miles away from Highway 315, watching carefully. There's the heavy rain. This is not the tornadic portion of the storm, if there is one. Again, this is radar indicated, but it is pouring now in Interlochen, and then trailing back to the south and west would be that possible tornado that'll be moving very quickly to the northeast. There's Kuka Road will be impacted, Sand Mine Trail. We also have Neal Road. This is about where the circulation is, Corey. Would be just about ready to move up into Sand Mine Trail right now. Let's go ahead and put the wind on there and see what we have. That's exactly where the circulation has been and will be with this cell. Boy, sure is broad. It doesn't look like it has tightened up or strengthened any. If anything, perhaps weakened the last few minutes, Corey.
Earlier we had the blue on there, Mike, and talking about potentially winds up to about 50 to 60 miles per hour. We don't have that in this. The radar beam, it sweeps around in a circle, kind of like the hands on a clock. And so it kind of takes time for it to make all the way around 360 degrees, scan everything, and then get all the way back around. But what we're seeing now is less of that potentially intense wind. The radar beam is kind of looking up higher in the sky, a few thousand feet. Now, it could be mixing those winds down to the ground. They move there from the mid-levels down to the ground. That could be happening. We don't necessarily have ground truth. Also hearing from the newsroom and our producer in my ear, no damage reports in Putnam County. It's still early, but at least right now, that's some good news. Mike, looks like we just got a new scan on there, and it's still looking really broad. We have more of the gray, which would be wind away, but it's not bright, and that's what we need for us to maybe think that there's something going on in there.
Right, exactly. This hasn't strengthened any since we've been on the air, since the warning was issued about 15 minutes ago or so, but it certainly bears watching. It has also turned a little more northward. Corey, it's moving a little bit more north than it is northeast. It's a north-northeast is what it is. So I think it would be wise for us to go ahead and put on here real quick. I just got another update from Karen in Interlaken says it's quiet here at my house so far, no rain or wind. So she's a little bit east of the cell even, so not even really getting in on the.
Most of the heavy rain there is west.
Right.
Is west of
and
proper
and there's a
Interlaken.
lightning strike.
And
so
there's a lightning
one.
strike.
But so Karen's you're probably going to stay, the most dangerous part of the storm stays a little west of you, but you're going to get into the heavy rain because there's another cell coming up from the south. So, so we're starting to see some lightning in here, some separation, charge separation here, which allows lightning to occur in storms when they get taller in the atmosphere, and that's what's happening with this storm now as it moves north-northeast. Let's go ahead and time this north-northeast instead, Corey, because it was much more northeast when the warning was issued, but it is obviously going to stay in the western part of the warning in that red area there as it moves near and just to the west of Interlaken. And this is a live shot from Palatka right now on the right-hand side behind me here. So, and you can see it's quiet there. And this cell will stay west of Palatka. Palatka is not in the tornado warning, so that's an important distinction to make. This is headed, as we saw, Kuka Road, headed into Kuka now. Interlaken in about 4 minutes, but it looks like the most dangerous part of that cell may end up just slightly west of Interlaken, but it's going to be awfully, awfully close. And C.H. Price Middle School neighborhood at 3 o'clock straight up. Again, school's not in session today in most cases because of the holiday, because of President's Day. But that just still gives you an idea. That's a marker for you if you live anywhere near that middle school. Let's go ahead and widen the view even more. For our viewers that are tuning in and don't live in Putnam County, we'll stay on the air until the storm risk has passed. And now this is a new, what we call a meso discussion. It's a small-scale discussion for storms. And this has just come out within the last minute or two, I assume. Right, Corey?
Yes, that's right, Mike. I was going to say, let's do a little quick reset here. This was from the Storm Prediction Center. They are highlighting this area here from Daytona all the way up to Jacksonville and all the way out past Lake City and Live Oak just south of Valdosta. So a little bit of southeast Georgia included in this. This area we're watching where we may have a tornado watch issued here over the next hour or two. And the conditions are just really good. And when I say good, I mean bad because of the ingredients and the potential. These are pretty small now, these showers, and we have lightning strike there over Interlaken, so isolated storms as they track up toward Jacksonville and the beaches very near the Florida-Georgia border, mainly along and east of Highway 301. But it looks like that threat area will extend all the way out to the west of Highway 301 near the I-75 corridor. So we got to watch this through the afternoon, Mike, as these move up from central Florida.
Yeah, we're likely to see a tornado watch issued. It'll probably be in effect until 11 o'clock or midnight or so tonight because the back edge of that last line of storms won't move through until then, until it gets off to the east of the coast, and that won't be until late evening or overnight, but it should be pretty much gone by midnight. The red to the west is a watch. That means conditions are favorable. The warning and the reason we're on the air is for the storm in Putnam County that is moving rapidly to the north-northeast here, and there you can see the lightning. Interlaken in the path of a possible tornado. What is favorable for us in seeing this circulation weaken is that the storm to the south is catching up to the one that has the tornado warning. And that usually, many times, will help cut off the circulation a little bit. It causes it interrupts the storm process, and therefore it causes weakening in time. We hasn't caught up to it yet, but it's catching up to it, so it'll be close, and that may help us a little bit on this circulation. And Corey was mentioning that red area on the map. Let's go ahead and show that again. And this on the left-hand side of the screen here. This is Palatka, which is not in the path of this particular storm. They'll be getting some heavy rain, though. And then right-hand side of the screen, excuse me. And then Highway 207 in St. Johns County and I-95 where it's raining, but the severe weather threat is a little bit west of there. So we've got a 1-2 punch here. The red area, that discussion is issued prior to the typical issuance of a watch, which Corey mentioned is likely to happen relatively soon. Tornado watch being issued means conditions are favorable. And this is one area of storms that'll move through over the next few hours. And then we'll have a lull this evening. It'll be breezy and quite warm. Temperatures will stay in the 70s to around 80 degrees this evening. And then the second area, punch number 2, if you will, the second punch is off to the west. We can broaden that out a little bit where they've already had some severe weather, and that's a squall line that's moving through Panama City. This red area is where there's a pretty high risk for tornadoes over the next few hours in the Panhandle. So our first threat locally, Jacksonville, northeastern Florida, is over the next few hours. and really the next couple of hours, with these fast-moving cells that are headed to the northeast that have the potential to produce severe weather. This cluster will watch carefully as it moves ashore in the Big Bend because it'll get close to Lake City and then into southern Georgia in the next couple of hours, and there is a severe thunderstorm warning for that cluster of cells. And then it'll be the squall line heading in from west to east late this evening, mainly between about 9 p.m. and midnight. So it's a 1-2 punch, the first one coming over the next few hours, and then the second one with the squall line that's now out to the west and already producing severe weather. And yes, this is part of the same system that's producing the terrible winter weather to our north and west with bitter cold and heavy snow and blizzard conditions and an ice storm. We are on the warm side of the storm, and when that cold air meets our warm, humid air, it's a perfect recipe for severe weather like we're seeing today and are likely to see on and off into this evening. In fact, there'll be another system we have to carefully track at midweek, too. So 2 big storms now moving ashore. The one to the west with a severe thunderstorm warning does not include any of our viewing area, but it is symptomatic of what's going to happen over the next few hours, and that is that more storms will develop, more will produce more lightning like that one is, and have the potential to be severe. And then we have the tornado warning, which is the reason we're on the air, for central and western and northern portions of Putnam County for a cell that will stay to the west and to the northwest of Palatka. So we zoom in a little bit, and sure enough, that cell is just about merged, but not quite, and there's still a little appendage on it on that southern end, and by that we mean a hook where many times the tornado would be located in this situation, that curl there near and just to the west of Interlochen. Let's go ahead and take a look at the winds now, Corey. It's been a few minutes. Let's see what this cell has done, and it looks kind of similar. There's something there, so to speak. There's a circulation. The wind is blowing like this down toward the bottom of your screen on that side and is blowing this way on the other side. It's not a real strong circulation. It's just about over Interlochen now, or perhaps just a tad bit west of Interlochen for that circulation. And even if there's not a tornado, you may have winds of 40 to 60 miles per hour that are reaching the ground now as this cell crosses Highway 20 in Interlochen and heads on to the north and northeast. What's that interchange there? It's 20, and I can't see the rest of that.
It's 315.
315. So Highway 20 and Highway 315 is where that circulation is going, which is essentially Interlochen. And we'll continue to head right up County Road, or very near and across County Road 315 over the next few minutes. Let's go ahead and time it out there as Corey's going with the time. And what he's tracking is not the heavy rain necessarily. He's tracking the hook echo, the circulation that we have on radar, the potentially most dangerous part of the storm. And it'll be in Manville at 3:01, so in about a minute. Baywood at 3:18, and at 3:19, Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church neighborhood will be in line for this storm. Remember, during a tornado warning, we want you to go to the lowest part of the building that you're in. Stay calm, stay away from windows, don't get into automobiles, and let the storm pass. Now, Corey is tracking the leading edge of the heavy rain. So the heavy rain, as it heads to the northeast, is moving through Palatka already. But again, the dangerous part of that cell is going to be off to the west of Palatka, and even really the heaviest rain with the initial one will be a little west of Palatka. Into Barden at 3:09, Bostwick at 3:23, that's northern Putnam County, into Leno at about 3:38.
All right, a tornado watch has been issued.
Okay.
It's going to take it a minute to actually get into the computer system,
Sure.
But a tornado watch has been issued. This is for Flagler County, Putnam County points to the north, and Glenn County not included in this, but our entire viewing area besides Glenn County is in this tornado watch.
Okay.
And this is going to go until 10 p.m. A couple of strong tornadoes possible. Can't rule out some hail either. Like
Right.
yesterday, Mike, we had just that one hail report, but it was the same storm that dropped the tornado there in western and central St. Johns County. Not expecting a lot of widespread hail. It's not all that common here, but we got to watch out for it. And of course, gusty winds up to about 60 to 70 miles per hour.
You said until 9 p.m.? That's it?
Until 10 p.m.
Until 10 p.m. Okay, so about what we expected to see. And it may end up being extended an hour or two, depending on the movement of that squall line. As it gets to the coast, they'll allow that watch to expire. But let's pop up that watch warning graphic real quick if you can find it, Corey, and we'll illustrate the differences between those two terms. There's the watch graphically, and as Corey mentioned, it covers the entire viewing area except for Glenn County and Brunswick. I wouldn't necessarily say you're out of the woods, Brunswick. I mean, look, you've got red, west, and south. So for all intents and purposes, it's the entire viewing area, and we want you to be alert. Remember, a watch means conditions are favorable for severe weather that extends north to Waycross, in fact, all the way to Interstate 16 in central Georgia, west through the Panhandle, and south all the way to Gainesville and Palatka, too. are included in this watch. Do you have the terminology graphic ready, the watch warning graphic? We'll take a look at that as this one cell moves quickly to the northeast now through Putnam County. The warning is in effect for another 13 minutes. And the tornado watch on the bottom there says Flagler and Putnam, but it's also for all the other counties as well, the entire viewing area. There's the difference. Warning means that a tornado is happening right now or is imminent, indicated by radar in this case, so you need to take action. A watch means conditions are favorable for severe weather, and you need to be ready to take action if a warning is issued. And we're in this severe weather setup for a long time now. As we mentioned through this evening, that watch is in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. Updates and warnings on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jacks, of course, round the clock as long as needed. You can download for free the First Alert Weather app on the online too, actionnewsjacks.com. Just click on weather, and on the radio, 104.5 WOKV. So it looks like an update's just been issued by the Weather Service for
tornado warning continued.
So they're going to continue the tornado warning for a little bit longer anyway. There's still evidence of a little hook there, but notice they've shaved, as you would expect, the southern and western part of that warning because the storm that's responsible for the possible tornado is headed now north of Highway 20, north of Interlochen, and moving into northern portions of Putnam County. We will have to carefully watch the storm behind it, which actually looks like it's intensifying. There are a few lightning strikes there. It's a little more elongated, but on its southern end, that's something we'll carefully watch, and there is a southern end. You can see it right there underneath the banner. Moving right up Highway 301, so a little east and southeast of Gainesville, and we'll be up into parts of Putnam County soon, so we'll have to carefully watch that. So for the tornado warning, let's go ahead and track it with our update now. Corey, I guess we'll track the hook first as it moves north-northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. The concern is west of Highway 17, and it is north and northwest of Palatka, so this is not a storm that's destined for Palatka from a tornadic standpoint, but they'll get some rain in Palatka. It's into Baywood in 8 minutes at 3:12, QI Roberts Middle School neighborhood at 3:12, and into Providence Church neighborhood at 3:22. It's a highly rural area now that it'll be passing through to the north and to the northwest of Palatka as it heads northeastbound. If it were to hold together, it would be into southeastern Clay County, along Highway 17, crossing Highway 17 a little bit south of Green Cove Springs over the next half hour or so, and we'll see if it maintains that little bit of a circulation, which again, admittedly looks weak at this point, but technically the tornado warning remains in effect. To its east throughout St. Johns County, a couple of heavy cells have formed, not showing any rotation at this point, but this is the kind of thing we're going to be in for the next couple of hours. Will be these scattered heavy storms that develop, move north-northeast, and have the potential to quickly become severe. We're going to go live to St. Augustine. One of those little bands has just moved over, Mike. Yeah. Okay, nicely done. So here's the rain in St. Augustine, and you see the low gray overcast. Actually, it looks like the core is up by Volano Beach now. It's pouring just a little north of St. Augustine, but it has rained in St. Augustine. It's wet. These cells move through. They don't last very long. They're relatively small. They can be pack-a-punch, though, like we're seeing with the storm in Putnam County, which is why we're on the air now for the tornado warning. In the sun, it won't be too long, the sun will come out in St. Augustine. So you'll get these cells that'll move through. It pours for a little while. There may be a few rumbles of thunder, and then the sun comes back out. Cell on the west coast here continues to intensify and actually develop eastward a little bit. So heads up Lake City. At first glance, it would appear that that cell goes west of Lake City, but it is it extends eastward, and it is building eastward with quite a bit of lightning. So if it doesn't get to Lake City, it may end up just a little west of Lake City, so just beware. And if you do have travel plans tonight, whether you're headed west on I-10, south on I-95, or north on I-95, there is a severe weather threat through this evening, so you're going to want to keep that in mind. And if you can delay travel, that would really be the best idea. That storm getting ready to cross I-10 in about half hour or so, while we still have the tornado warning for northern and northeastern parts of Putnam County. Is there anything very far to the south, Corey? Once we get, I see one cell in Marion County on I-75. I suspect there's not a whole lot to the south, and there is not. There's just a little bit of, there are a few showers that have popped, but what we'll expect to have is a severe threat with the first cluster of storms moving through now, through about 5:30 or so this afternoon. Then a lull for the most part, a break. There may be an isolated shower storm that pops up, but then it should be a lull. And then it'll be waiting on the squall line that's well to the west to move eastbound. So it's a double threat here with the first band coming through now and then the second one. This is our Riverside First Alert Skycam network with a lot of sunshine on it. So you can see the contrast, and that's our point here, is that you've got the rain here on this side of the screen, Highway 207 and I-95, southern St. Johns County, Pulaski in the clouds. We've got sunshine. The temperatures are jumping into the 70s, if not 80 degrees. And so that contrast is helping to fuel these storms as well as they continue to move to the north and northeast. And I'm getting my alerts now, like you would if you have the First Alert weather app, download it for free as we continue to track the severe weather now and through the afternoon and evening. And we're seeing a little more lightning with that southern cell. I think that's one to watch, Corey, as it moves into southern Putnam County and sort of follows the storm for which we have a tornado warning on.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. The potentially tornadic part of the storm leaving Interlochen and passing to the north there of State Road 20, the one back behind it, about to bring more heavy rain. We got the report from Karen watching us there near 315 in Interlochen that it kind of took a while for the heavy rain to move in. Well, the potentially tornadic part of the storm is clear of Interlochen. It's going to pass up State Road 100 here in a few minutes, and we'll time that out here coming up. But more rain is on the way. This thunderstorm now is looking like the most intense one. And Mike, I actually want to check out the wind here to see if that's doing anything.
Good idea.
And there are some areas in here. I got to move this up just a little bit and show you that there are some spots that are at least trying to maybe develop a little bit of rotation. This is the one that we've been tracking. It's now north and east of Interlochen. Haven't received any reports of damage in Interlochen and haven't had a report of a funnel cloud or a tornado. But you look for the green to get bright and the red to get bright and get them right next together. We don't have that. We have the bright green, but we don't have any of the red. It's just gray. There are these other little areas back in here, and specifically this one that's right along the Putnam and Marion County line that it at least looks a little suspicious. We have the bright green there that's trying to go to blue, and then we get the darker colors there with the wind that's away. At least immediately, nothing that looks tornadic, Mike, but the lightning is increasing in this storm, so we got to watch it close.
Yeah, and I'm a little curious about even south and west of there on the southern end of the cell, Corey. There appears to be a circulation that might be trying to form. That's a long ways away from the radar beam. Of course, the beam's up quite a bit in this case. So this is a tougher one to diagnose because of that. But it's something that we would want to carefully track. And there you can see the lightning strikes are increasing in that storm. There's likely to be more wind and rain in Interlochen perhaps with this cell than they did with the first one that had the tornado warning, Corey.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. And fortunately, with First Alert Doppler HD, we can actually see the strengthening of the storm. Lightning is a good indicator that the thunderstorm is picking up in intensity. And yes, we had that circulation that basically moved right over Interlochen. Didn't look like a tornado basically imminent or at least confirmed there. We did not have a tornado confirmed with it.
Corey, look how that cell has merged with it too. Now that's going to help us a little bit, I think.
Yes, this is starting to get muddled here as the potentially tornadic part of the storm basically halfway between State Road 100 and State Road 20. So this is west of Pulaski, even west of the airport. This is going to cross out there kind of in the countryside here. But this cell right here, this blob of red, is actually merging up into the potentially tornadic part. And that can actually help to cut it off and weaken it. But sometimes they can actually cycle and basically just re-strengthen. And we saw that happen with the St. John's tornado yesterday, Mike.
Yeah, still bears watching, and that merger, the cell merger, does oftentimes intensify. You're right, Corey, but what it does initially is it cuts off that tornado, so it weakens the circulation. Now, we'll carefully watch to see if another one tries to reform, or as Corey put it, if it tries to recycle a little bit. Coming up from the south and west, another intense storm, and these are moving 35 to 40 miles per hour, so they're moving very rapidly. It is pouring in Pulaski right now on radar, and in fact, you can see it on the screen, too. It is raining in Pulaski right now. Pretty decent rain. That's just a little cell. It's not the severe cell, but a quick little shot of heavy rain now moving across through Pulaski on Highway 17, St. John's Avenue, Silver Lake Drive into some rain. It'll last just a few minutes, East Pulaski, and then it's gone. The tornadic cell, if it is actually producing a tornado, and there are a couple new lightning strikes, is well northwest of Pulaski, and it looks like that circulation has broadened even more now. If anything, it might be trying to redevelop one on that eastern edge of the cell that merged with it, Corey.
Yeah, the wind higher there on the east side of that storm, right. And yeah, so it doesn't look impressive on radar now, it doesn't mean something can't form. So we got to watch it. This is actually a little closer to the airport. I'm going to zoom down a little bit closer so we can get some of the streets on there. North and west of Palatka, State Road 309, Barden Road, North Moody Road. You're kind of right on the edge there where you're going to get some gusty winds. Pushing a little tighter there, that's Barden Road. I'm going to take the radar off briefly just to kind of see where exactly this is. And yeah, this is the airport. Right here where you can kind of see the lines that are drawn. That's Palatka, K. Larkin. And then we get up into the plants that are north of town here along 17 and very near the St. Johns River. But Palatka not in this tornado warning that we've been tracking now for about 30 minutes or so.
It's about ready to expire. Two more minutes, Corey. I'd be surprised if they extended it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, especially with that part of the storm on the east side that may be trying to take over.
Right.
The cells are merging, so the areas of the storm are actually coming together, and it's kind of choking off or getting rid of the first tornadic part of the storm, Mike.
Right.
But we're seeing the wind pick up on the other.
Yeah, the original cell. And the southern one is catching up to it as well. There's a blob starting to develop with this. I'd say there's two areas to watch. One is northwest of Palatka on the eastern edge of that cell now, right about there. And then on the southern end of this one, it's moving into Putnam County.
It does have a little notch on there.
Yeah.
You know, the wind isn't showing anything on that yet. That's down by the Putnam and Marion County line. So it's got a lot of lightning with it. The heavy rain, this is the leading edge of the heavy rain that's moving back into Interlaken after a potentially tornadic storm.
All right, let's go ahead and time this from the heavy rain to the northeast, Corey, and then the warning will have expired here in about 35 seconds or so. So we'll go back to regular programming unless the warning is extended or a new warning is issued. But if we track the rain that is now just about into southern Clay County, this will be a very heavy thunderstorm. At the very least, it could produce, I think, a little more north, Corey. A little more left. There you go. I think that's about right. Bostwick, in about a minute, it's pouring. Federal Point at 3:23. Piccolata, that's the St. Johns River, and in St. Johns County, just across the St. Johns River, at 3:33. Green Cove Springs at 3:37, and Bakersville, again, that was an area hit yesterday, at 3:43. At least the threat for some damaging or strong winds and potentially damaging winds, the tornado warning now expiring. There are other cells developing out ahead of this. There's one that's going to blow through St. Augustine yet again here in a few minutes with some gusty winds and brief heavy rain. And then let's widen the view even more, and then we'll show the watch and we'll get off the air unless a new warning is issued. And you can see there'll be these and these storms will be moving through parts of Duval County, by the way, between now and about 4:45. So heads up Duval County, the I-10 corridor, or even northward into southeast Georgia with this initial area of storms. And then there are thunderstorms intensifying rapidly over northwestern Florida. And then there's a squall line moving through the panhandle, and that's why a tornado watch is in effect now for the entire area. The exception is Brunswick, but even there may be severe weather. Remember, a watch means conditions are favorable for severe weather, and we may have tornadoes along with damaging winds, hail, very heavy rain, and frequent lightning through this evening. You might be planning on some power outages potentially, so make sure all of your electronic devices are powered up. Have a plan, know where to go, what to do. A watch means conditions are favorable. You don't necessarily have to take action right now. A warning means that storm is imminent and you do need to take action. There are no longer any warnings in effect in our viewing area right now, so we'll go back to regular programming. The watch remains in effect. We'll keep you updated round the clock, of course, on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax, online, actionnewsjax.com. You can download for free the First Alert Weather app, and on the radio, 104.5 WOKV.
From Action News Jax, this has been a First Alert Weather Update.
I cannot go out without a parent coming up to me saying how much better it is that their child's able to go to school. And so we're not looking back. We're going to continue going forward. And I know the speaker agrees with me. You want to opine on that for a second?
I'll echo those comments. You know, I am a father of two little boys, and we're blessed to have the opportunity to have them back into school in Pinellas County. And I can tell you that I speak to parents every day, whether it's at the car line or the baseball field, who are grateful for the fact that their kids have the opportunity to go back to school. I get that every family is not going to feel comfortable doing that, but every family is happy that they have the option to send their kids back. And the vast majority of families, certainly where I'm from, are sending their kids back to school. But here's the big takeaway here, because there was a lot of writing about this at the time, if you all recall when this happened, and that is the governor, Commissioner Corcoran, the members of the legislature, said, listen, we want to get the schools open as soon as possible. We want to get the kids back in the classroom as soon as possible. And parents responded in a really, really big way. It's inhumane not to allow children to go back into the classroom to get an education. The focus that we have now in the Florida House, as many of you may have seen the letter that I sent out to the district superintendents last week, is finding the kids who are not reconnected back into the classroom, the folks who are not learning in the classroom, the kids who are not learning on a virtual platform with the K-12 system, figuring out where they are and how do we re-engage them to make sure that they're in the classroom or they're on a virtual space, because every day that goes by that those children are not learning, they're falling behind. And every day that they fall behind, we fall behind. And that's why it's been such a big priority for this governor and for the members of the legislature to get the kids back in the classroom.
All right. Questions? Yes, sir.
We heard Jared Moskowitz is going to be resigning from DEM. Any thoughts on why he's making that decision? Any concerns looking forward, looking for somebody new to take over the House?
Well, no, Jared and I discussed it. He's worked incredibly hard. He's done a fantastic job. I think Florida has the best emergency response in the country. I think we've done the best in terms of logistics, both in terms of preparing for responding to storms as well as responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think Jared was a big reason why. I just think the fact it's been 2 years, he's worked extremely hard, and his family's almost a world away in some respects. When you're in Florida, I mean, many of you know, Tallahassee down to Broward, it's not like you can just hop on a plane all the time and get down there. It's a long drive and it weighs. So he's done well by us. I told him, I said, they should really make you FEMA director, and maybe they will do that someday. And also, since we're asked, we think that the deputy, Kevin Guthrie, has done a great job. So Kevin is going to take Jared's spot when Jared is ready to move on. And I have a lot of confidence in Kevin. He's been fantastic. He's been in the emergency management space for a long time. And when we do some of this stuff, I mean, I'll go and kind of we'll do an event. Oh, we have now vaccines in this part of the state. There's a lot that goes into that, and these guys are getting it done very, very quickly. It's very impressive, and Jared and Kevin have really led the way. So we thank Jared for his service, and we think Kevin will be able to pick up very nicely.
Last week in the Senate, we heard from nursing home residents who had some concerns about the liability protection bill that's moving through over there. They say it's letting some of the bad actors off easy. I know that you supported the idea overall, but I don't know if that's changed.
So here's what if somebody is a bad actor generally, I don't think the COVID should have any change in general liability. You obviously have duty to care. You have certain duties under the law that should be respected. I just think if we say, what I don't want is, okay, this nursing home has allowed the residents to live more normal lives. They're all vaccinated or been offered vaccines, let's say. At that point, I think that is a reasonable decision to do. I don't think that should subject them to liability. But that doesn't mean you can't do other things, and I don't want to sweep in other stuff. I just want on the COVID, these residents, the nursing homes and their residents, to feel comfortable that they can get back to normal. You look, and I think it's going to take a couple more weeks for the U.S., but you look what's happening in Israel, the decline in the hospitalizations for people who are elderly, which they went through and did that. You are seeing a decline nationwide here in nursing home cases. I think we're really turning the corner thanks to these vaccines. And my hope is yes, COVID's important. Obviously, these are the folks who are the most vulnerable to COVID, but they have also had other tolls on them for all the mitigation. And it's been very difficult when we work to get the visitation in. A lot of these families were so happy. It was like such a weight lifted off their shoulder because they hadn't. You can go, you can talk on online, you can do one of these FaceTime, you can even go in the window and have a visit, which people were doing. But if you can't go up and give someone you love a hug, it's just not the same. And so they really, really love that. But I have folks tell me that not all of them are able to do all they want with their family members because of this fear of liability. So let's just do it to where we want to have these places open. We have the tools in place between vaccines and all these other stuff, but they need to be able to live their best lives. And I don't want to see any more despair and loneliness in these facilities. I do think that if they're scared of getting sued, I think they're going to err on the side of constricting the residents more